One cloudy, cold, windy day in the dead of winter, I stumbled upon it. I walked aimlessly for about 2 hours with a blank, empty mind. The stress of the recent events in my life put a blockade, a kind of defensive mind-altering tabula rasa inside my head. I had been laid off from my job recently. The company I worked for had been in business over 30 years. Never in its history had it laid off anyone, for any reason. That changed recently when COVID rapidly swept throughout the nation. I had received unemployment benefits for 2 years. But they ran out. I had never in my life been so irresponsible. But the unemployment money was more than I had ever earned in my life, and I became addicted to it. There had been talk about extending it for an unspecified amount of time, but that never came to fruition. COVID affected my life in more than one way. I became lazy and reliant. For that, I would pay the price. I was tossed out of my apartment. I tried to reason with the owner, but she was having nothing to do with it. Never in my life had I been homeless. After agonizing over it for what seemed like an eternity, my mind just went blank. That was a relief. I must have appeared like one of the zombies I had been playing on my PlayStation about the entire time I was laid off. But I won't be playing anything anymore on that console. After a night out with the boys, I returned to my apartment just to find I was locked out. New locks had been installed and the sheriff had put an eviction notice up. I stood there in disbelief. I emptied the contents of my stomach onto the floor. I then turned and slowly walked out of the building and onto the street. The wetness from the rain resulted in the road smelling like newly laid tar, along with other strange and unidentified odors. After walking in a confused state for hours, I noticed an object sticking out of the middle of the road. It was shiny? Yet, it appeared dull. I know, how can that be? But there it was, laying in the middle of the road as though it had been waiting for me. I thought it strange that there was no traffic. This was a very busy road at all times of the day and night. In fact, there was no one walking on the sidewalks. And I hadn't noticed until then that there was no sound at all in the frigid air. Strange, I said to no one there. I bent over to get a better look at the object. Its size was about 2 inches by 2 inches. It was a perfect square. I could now see that it was gold in color. Thinking it might be pure gold, my heart started beating quickly as I just couldn't believe my luck. But while attempting to pick the item up, I found that it was incredibly heavy. Almost to the point that I could barely pick it off the ground. There were no identifying inscriptions on it. The texture was as though it was sandblasted. As I brought it closer to take a better look, I almost took out my eye with my thumb. Its weight changed from unbelievably heavy to unbelievably light. My thumb just missed my head, but the rest of my hand holding the object did not, which just about knocked me out. It probably would have appeared comical if anyone was there to witness it.